welcome back to the channel. Thank you so much for once again joining me for tea time. Today we have a little bit of stormy weather. Why? Because I'm a little bit under the weather. It's just been a crazy cold I've been having here. It's like a week now. I just can't. I can't. Anyways, guys, I hope you guys are feeling well. Today we're going to be talking a little bit about all of this mess going on here. You guys know that I released a book recently. It had to do with backing things up. We'll get into that in a little bit. But a lot of you wanted to know, like, what was the system that I was using prior to doing what I'm doing currently to back up my digital life, so to speak. And this is some of it. This is probably about 1/10 of it. And some of this, I'm going to guess, probably would look a little bit about along the lines of what you have going on, right? So I want to get into it just a second, but before I do, I want to say that if you haven't downloaded any of my ebooks as of yet, we have a couple free ones. We have the new book that just came out. I have a prologue that is free you can download, as well as 10 tips at making tack sharp images. Go check it out. Go over to JCristina.com/books. Once again, JCristina.com/books. You'll be able to pick that up, or both of them, for free. Check it out. Anyway, so I'm going to give you a little bit of a rundown. Let me move my tea out of the way here. So when I first started backing things up, when I started getting more and more and more data, especially when I went to be a professional photographer in comparison to amateur. Even when I was an amateur, I was still taking a lot of photos. But once I ended up doing this professionally, the number of files just got to be unbelievable. And the raw images, really, really massive in size, and a lot of them, thousands and thousands of raw images. And that was a major, major problem for me, because it was a problem just not only just housing them, but then finding them. Where in the hell in this vast sea of nonsense are they? So I started writing dates on everything, coding everything, trying to type stuff in here, there, and elsewhere. But I knew that I had to have multiple copies of everything. You can't just have one copy and then that's it. You need to have multiple in multiple media formats. So that's what I did. I had some Blu-rays that I would actually create from after saving them into a network drive. Like, for example, this one right here, this is a Western Digital, but what's nice about this, it has 2 drives in it. So this can be set up either as a lot of hard drive space. I think there are 2 1 terabytes in there. So it can be set up as 2 terabytes that you can use all the data, or you can set it up as a RAID 1. And I'm sure a lot of you guys know about this, and you probably do it. And what that will do is every time you copy a file to one of these hard drives, the other hard drive will get the exact same file. So you'll end up having a mirror, hence RAID 1, of your data. So you'll have 2 copies of it. What people don't understand is if the actual device that's powering this, okay, or the card within this goes bad, you can't access any of it anymore, okay? And that was a problem. A couple other problems with this, but we'll get into it in just a minute. I also did on-location backups using these types of drives. Now, this is a Lacy drive. I love these. They're rugged. They work out fantastic. They're direct connect, USB 3s. They're pretty quick for what they are, but once again, you need so many of them. Here's another Western Digital. This is my Passport. This was for my Macs because I used to use a lot of Mac computers, and this was one of them. There's a lot of them. Now, some of these drives are for Mac, some of them are for PC. That was also an issue. Cross-platform. I'm not even going to get into that in this video. But down here you can see some Western Digitals. Also, these are external hard drives. You plug them right in, and then you can use them as it is, but these are 1 hard drives in each single one in comparison to this one where you're getting 2, so you can have redundancy, or you can have that mirroring, or that automatic backup. You have a Netgear, I believe. Yep, this is a Net Center. And then after dealing with this kind of nonsense, I said, you know what? This is like a lot of just large stuff, and multiple problems could go on here. Perfect example is, let's say if this drive goes bad, okay, well, the drive's bad. Well, how about if the internal components go bad? How about the power supply inside of it goes bad? That's a problem. Or how about the card that's in here? It goes bad. Another problem. And at that point, we're breaking it all down, pulling out the hard drive, and trying to save the data. How? By sticking it into one of these. Some of you guys, I'm sure, have one of these things, right? You could use this to simply read the data off your hard drives or access those hard drives, these bare bones hard drives, these bare hard drives. So we could also use the secondary slot to make a direct mirror backup or a copy of the drive. So I could take a data drive, stick it in here, then take a brand new drive and stick it in there, push a button or two and say, hey, back it up. After a few hours, everything here is now here, bit by bit. It doesn't care what kind of data is on there. So that's a really good method of making a direct backup without you having to do it on the computer. You'd use one of these. So I said, you know what? I'm going to buy a bunch of these, which I did. And I was able to then take these hard drives, there's actually a pile more, but let's just say these, it's probably about this high, and stick them into these little cloning systems and be able to access them and be able to make those backups as needed. And they wouldn't take up as much room. So that was a pretty good idea. And I did this for quite some time. But what is the problem here, guys? What do you think? Where is the stuff? It goes back to the whole idea of labeling everything, putting down dates and months and jobs and who the client was and whatever. And when we started going into videography and starting to do a lot of video work, these files got bigger and bigger and bigger. So instead of just having raw photos, which we did anyways for a lot of our production work, now we have video that is not only just 1080p, now it's 4K, and it's massive, guys, massive amounts of data. And you would take one of these drives, let me see, this one is 4 terabytes, right? And you fill these things up. They're like chiclets. They're like one after another after another. It's just not enough space. And what happens is you end up with a ton. Like I said, I have piles of these. Well, how do you find anything, right? How do you find anything? I tried so many different methods, and you just can't do it. Just can't find anything. So I got into a RAID system. And as if you listened to a couple of my videos ago, I tried RAID out. RAID works out really well. It was a RAID 5 system that I had, but 2 hard drives going bad doesn't work too well for RAID 5. You have 5 disks in it. If 2 of the 5 go bad, you lose everything. And I'm like, this is not good. Luckily, I had all these backups, and I was able to rebuild. It took a damn month, I think. It took a while. So I said, you know what? I'm going to build my own system. So that is exactly what I did. I ended up building a RAID array. Well, before I get into that RAID array, I want to say that people were asking me, what problems did you have with this type of setup? Well, one of the big issues that happened a while back, it was like a year and a half ago, it didn't affect me, luckily, because most of my data I keep offline anyways. But Western Digital had a breach. And if you had a Western Digital My Book Live or My Book Live Duo or whatever, their backup units like these, okay, and you had it connected into the internet, there was some malicious software out there, let's say some zero-day software, that would go out onto the web and literally execute a factory reset on every one of these appliances that it finds on the web. What does that mean? What does that translate into? That means all the data that you had on here, so let's say this one is a mirror unit and I have 2 terabytes here, 2 terabytes there. So we have 2 terabytes that are backed up data. We think we're okay. All that data is zeroed out, factory resetted out. So you come back the next day, you look, and you're like, oh, there's nothing there. Yeah, because it was all deleted. This is the little things that happen when you buy these over-the-counter devices. One of the guys said, hey, Joe, why don't you use like a QNAP? Well, I don't want to get into which drive failed or which company unit failed with me, but a perfect example is with QNAP. QNAP, just a few months back, had a problem with QLocker being used against their system. QLocker basically is a ransomware software that goes onto the QNAP server, right? Your RAID array with all of your data in it, encrypts the entire lot. Doesn't matter if it is 1 terabyte or if it's 100 terabytes, locks the whole crap down, and you have nothing. Nothing. Until you pay the ransomware people to give you the code to unlock all of your stuff. That was QNAP, right? They fixed it. It was a backdoor that they had that these ransomware people were able to breach. So a lot of these mainline companies have issues, and there's no way for you to be able to know if they do or they don't, and you're at the mercy of them to make the firmware updates. Perfect example is with this drive that had the problem, and this and all the rest of those Western Digitals, their firmware wasn't updated since 2015, and they were hit in like 2021. You follow me? They don't need to update it if they don't feel like it, and that is it. So when you build your own system, you're on top of it all the time, right? You're updating the OS, you're updating any applications you have running on it. Whatever it is, it's your system. You know what's in it. You also know what hard drives you're using in those systems. And you can, and I would suggest, buy hard drives that you stick into your own appliance, your own backup server, that are from different companies. Even if it's from the same manufacturer. Let's say you love Seagates, right? I like the Iron Wolf. Well, instead of me buying 10 Iron Wolf drives for, let's say these are 4 terabytes, I buy 10 of these. Instead of doing that, I buy 2 from one company, and I buy 2 from another company. I buy 2, even if they're $20 difference, it doesn't matter. Why? Because every one of these are going to be from different serial number lots, most likely. And that will give me more protection that multiple of these drives don't go bad altogether. You buy 10 all in a row, and maybe you get every single sequential serial number. Now what happens? If it was a bad day on a Friday, or maybe a hangover type of Monday, and all your drives came from the same guy, you might have a problem, right? So anyways, these are some of the issues and the reason why I ended up going with Unraid. And matter of fact, you know what? Let me walk over here. Let me show you my Unraid server, guys. Some people are like, what the heck does this look like? Well, you see this down here? Let me turn this camera around so I can see. That looks, there you go. All right. So right down here, I'm pointing to it. Nope, not the Xbox, but right down here with those lights on it. That right there is the Unraid server. That is it. That is it. It's like a full-size case with old parts, guys. Old parts. When I say old, I'm talking over a decade old parts. And this server has been running for just over a year and 3 months now, with absolutely no hiccups at all. So knowing that and understanding that, it's probably not a bad idea to check out Unraid and see if it's something that would work out for you guys. I am not sponsored by Unraid. I have used every single package out there, from Synology to QNAP to all of them. I had problems with some. I'm not going to get into which ones because it really doesn't matter. It's my problem, is not your problem, right? So the one thing that I have found after doing this for decades is that this Unraid server that I created using a few $100s worth of parts, the only thing that cost a lot of money is, of course, hard drive space. That is where you're going to spend all of your money. You get to select what hard drives you use, not the companies. A lot of times you don't know what hard drives go into those systems because they're closed systems and they're very difficult to expand. With this setup, currently we have, I think, about 32 terabytes in there, and literally in a moment's notice, I could take this, stick it in there, and now we have 36 terabytes. Just like that. Simple as that. I'm not joking here. That's how easy it is. It literally take a few minutes to do the formatting on this, and this would immediately be put into the pool of usable data, usable storage. So, guys, I wrote this book, How to Create a Digital Fort Knox, Backing Up Your Digital Life. I wrote this not just for you guys, I wrote it for myself as a means of documenting how I created that server. I call it Harley. Probably wouldn't guess why, but I call it Harley. And this book takes you through that journey from beginning to end, soup to nuts. So when you're done reading this and following the setup process from beginning to end, you will literally be able to fire up your Unraid server and be able to start backing up your data immediately. All right, that is how I wrote it. I made it very, very simplistic. Originally, it was about 180 pages. I just stripped everything back to just under 100 pages so that it is as pithy as possible. So you're not just reading a whole bunch of nonsense. It gets to the point and tells you exactly and handholds you the entire way. And I thought that was very, very important because there's a lot of people out there like myself that are content creators, that are videographers, that are photographers, that just create a ton of files and they don't know what the hell to do with them anymore. And they have piles and piles and piles. They can't find anything. They don't know where anything is. And God forbid if something goes south, you're spending hours, days trying to find stuff. There's always those guys that say, hey, throw it all into the cloud. Throw it into the cloud. You'll be fine. Well, the cloud rains, guys, right? And all your data will be raining out of it. We know major companies out there, and we're not going to get into them in this video, that have rained out a lot of client data and just threw their hands up and says, take a look at that TOS, that terms of service that you signed, and you'll see that we're not responsible for your data. And that is it. Oh, you're paying $1 a month? Oh well. You're paying $100 a month? Double oh well. It doesn't make a difference. They are not liable for losing your data. That's just simply it. Doesn't matter who you use. You can take a look on the internet, look up any one of these companies that you currently use for your cloud storage and see if there's any data loss, and you'll just find article after article. There is a ton. There is a ton. So you can use cloud storage, but as a secondary, tertiary, some other type of backup that you can say, okay, it's out there just in case, right? But you need to follow the 3-2-1 backup strategy. You need to have 3 copies of all your data at any given time. And if you don't, your data is not secure. At any given moment, you can lose it all. And that had happened to me multiple times, but luckily, I was able to rebuild over literally the course of almost a month and rebuild everything all together again onto that Unraid server. Now, is that the end-all be-all and now you're good? No, that's the archival side of that 3-2-1 backup. You still need to have one more copy off-site, maybe in a safety deposit box, maybe in your mom's house, maybe somewhere up the road that is safe and dry out of the elements. Okay? You need to be able to have one of those, as we call, cold storage locations, where you stick that data. So if something happens locally, there's a fire, hurricane, some kind of flooding, you still have your data. The people that don't do this, all right, later on, they are looking for videos like this to try to figure out how to do it in the future. Don't be one of those people. Do it today. Get all of your stuff together, right? Throw it onto like an Unraid server or some other type of server that you feel comfortable with, and keep that data offline. That is a major, major thing that a lot of people they don't think about. They say, oh, I'm going to make one of these servers and I'll be able to access it from any location. The answer to that is yes, you can. But my answer to you is don't do it. Don't friggin' do it. Do not allow your server to have any access to the internet after it's built. All right? And if you do need it to have access, allow it to have limited access just for the sole opportunity for you to make a update, let's say to the firmware, to one of the apps, and then kill it again. Just unplug it, all right? Period. Nice and easy. Use a network cable. Don't even set up Wi-Fi. You don't even have to guess. Unplug it. When you want to do an update, plug it back in, do your update as your administrative account, and then unplug it again, all right? That's how you become safer. Is that 100% safe? Absolutely not. Nothing is. There is always a means for the bad guys to access your stuff if they want to, just like a door. A door is a deterrent. Your windows of your house are deterrents, all right? If some bad character wants to come into your home, they'll be standing right outside of your bedroom door, and that is it. They will break the window. They will break the door, right? So it's a deterrent, and that's what we're doing here. So anyways, guys, you guys asked me for it. This is kind of like the old strategy. The one I just showed you is the new strategy. It's been running for just over a year and 3 months, no issues, and the entire thing was built out of parts that were over 10 years old that were sitting in a garage right down there in the heat and humidity of Florida for over a decade. And it's working 100% perfectly. People say, why is that? Because an Unraid server that does archival backups does not need a lot of power. This thing is running on like a Pentium Duo or something. A really slow, old Pentium with like 4 gigabytes of RAM, I think. Nothing. You don't need a lot. You don't need a lot. So, anyways, guys, pick up the prologue to this book. It's free. Go over to JCristina.com/books. You can go grab this, see if you like it. And if it's something that you like, pick up an actual copy. You can find it on Amazon on Kindle format. You can find it on PDF on my website, JCristina.com. You can get the actual book itself, just like this. As you can see, it's full color through and through. Data, very pithy. Exactly everything that you need to know on how to get one of these things built. So guys, that's it. I hope you enjoyed this, and if you have just even a little bit, and you got a little bit of knowledge, throw this video a thumbs up. That would be greatly appreciated. Also, click the little bell icon over here. If you click that bell, hopefully YouTube will notify you when I go live or when a new video comes out. I say hopefully, but sometimes they just don't do it. Why, YouTube? Why? I don't know. Anyways, guys, thank you so much for being here. I really do appreciate it. Finally, head over to my website, JCristina.com, where you can find all the photography tools I've invented for you and me over the years. And hopefully there's something there that you might like. And if there is, please pick it up and support me and my family. That would be much appreciated. That's it, guys. I'm out of here for yet another vlog. Many blessings to you and your family. Stay safe and stay healthy.